Is that what that means? They define citizenship here. So this is a redefinition of citizenship in the 14th Amendment. Did you know that?
What do you mean, in the 1865 amendment?
This 1868.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it says citizenship defined, which is interesting because this supposed 13th Amendment originally was defining citizenship, or what would eliminate you as a citizen. And this one says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the states wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. I
that
think
one had to do with the slaves, but what's interesting is it came up in 1865, like in parallel to that 13th.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that it's a lot looser definition of
citizenship.
Citizenship. I mean, it's more defined in that it says, all persons naturalized or born in the United States, right? But at the same time, it's interesting that it's directed towards states and states' powers. So this constitutional amendment is like also focusing on confining states' powers, if you will, around the time when that was kind of like what happened. I mean, the North won, right? And they're representing the federal, basically, united we stand, divided we fall. It's seems kind of backwards now when you look at it.
Yeah, it is. I was going to say was those, what was it, the North? You know how they, what was I going to say? I've got to remember it.
Well, number 15 was just a couple years later, the right of suffrage, and it gave the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States. Yeah, right. Or any state or account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. And then Congress shall have no power to enforce this article appropriate legislation. And then it had to be reinterpreted later for women.
But you know what's interesting is that amendment is so useless because all they had to really do was just abolish slavery, just make it abolished. They didn't have to word it that way.
Unfortunately, they did because that was the climate at the time, so they had to make it clear in the Constitution. They had to, or at least try to. But no, they don't have that 13th Amendment that you mentioned there. And,
here's what I was going to say, just real quick. The abolitionists during the Civil War, they're similar in a way to the neocons nowadays. Like their intentions are good. I'm talking about the voters, though, not the politicians. Their intentions are good, but they support a government that is tyrannical. And Lincoln was tyrannical.
He was almost in an oblivious way. Almost like being used by the bankers, and he was just doing what he could. Wow, it's a whole new look at history. Now, also during this time, in 1787 to 1788, after that, the efforts to ratify the Constitution received... I'm sorry, this is 100 years earlier. I'm looking at the Federalist Papers was 100 years earlier. And this was 100 years... By 100 years later, they had... The Constitution already been kind of... What'd you call it? Swindled? A switcheroo happened in there?
Yep. Republicated in a false way. You know what I was reading was that it was republicated for a lot of schools and stuff, and that's where it actually did contain that 13th Amendment, the original one. So that's something to hunt down too and find. I mean, we need to find all the proof we can so that we could get a big picture of maybe what happened, you know, like a puzzle.
Yeah.
All together.
It is a puzzle. So what exactly, let's speculate, what exactly would that mean if there was uncontrovertible evidence that was found that that amendment is in fact a part of our Constitution, and we would have to remove that constitutional amendment or follow it, right? At this point in time, what kind of repercussions would that have?
It would be there. It would have to be in there. I think it would go to a court battle. And knowing how corrupt our courts are now, I mean, what would they do?
Well, now wait a minute. This was before there were courts. This precluded courts. The federal court system. So what do we do? I mean, if we're going to question everything that was set up after that, because it would eliminate so many politicians, so many people from serving in and have created all those laws. We had to go back and see.
No kidding.
We had to see. Oh well, these people had
every person that was ever funded by George Soros would go bye-bye.
I'm talking about historically also. We'd have to go through and question everything that's ever been passed, every law, every change to the Constitution. We have to go and re-question it all. We have to rewrite it all. Go back to 1812 and rewrite the Constitution from there. That's not too bad an idea.
No, it isn't, but unfortunately, I don't know if Americans would be ready to accept a truth if we found this to be true.
Maybe it wouldn't be that hard.
And maybe they would, because maybe they would want to see people fry for, accepting foreign lobbyist money.
Maybe it wouldn't be that hard. All these Bilderbergers, all these people that go off to their Bilderberg meetings, they're not getting congressional approval to go do that. All these people that go and they get these gifts from the princes of, Bush is so tied with these Arab countries in his family's oil business. It's ridiculous.
Oh, he would be bye-bye.
It would be gone. Everything that
amendment would get rid of him.
Everything. All the executive powers and all that.
The Clintons would go bye-bye. Ted Kennedy would be gone. McCain, being with lobbyists, he'd be gone.
All of our problems would be solved.